So let's explain the felonious journalism assumption by the French Freemasons, the York's Plantagenet bondage societies of Europe. RomneyCare is based on the concept within the state of Massachusetts that any program paid for by the individual entering, however thought compulsory by a police officer in corruption, therefore attendance is allegedly mandatory, actually voluntary, such as scared straight or a hospital stay or an ambulance, the state, upon town, not county, has to pay for the service. That's RomneyCare. That way the police, through the accountant in town, the city hall, will obey the burden on the rich for the poor. The very basis of police logic founded in Azerbaijan, and insurance logic founded in Scotland, the Scotland region of Britain. Now, ObamaCare presumes that federally cops have nursing powers, therefore they can give psychiatrists orders, despite the concept of the psych wars opposing police brutality, the only reason for psychiatric commitment. A police officer has strayed out of his natural bounds as a human being and become a pedophile. Therefore, an inquiry must be made as to which police officer is now practicing outside of legal tradition of the engine mans. The Sawyer's books for law professors to teach, cops to follow, and lawyers to learn to pass the bar. However, Massachusetts is separate from ObamaCare due to a military envoy believing that our system would be harmed in terms of finance and debt. Our cops here in Massachusetts don't have nursing powers. It's still considered illicit and illegal to do so, particularly without the 6 years collegiate training to become even a basic nurse, let alone a residency in a hospital to understand medicine, such as the fact that a medicine stays in the liver after taking it for 2 weeks, and any more medicine, any type of antipsychotic or painkiller, is potentially lethal if consumed for over a month. That's a compelled murder charge against officers ordering as if they understand medicine, revealing them as cheater athletes, ones who did steroids or GHB. And of course, the public safety issue is that they're unable to fight or drive. They can't handle themselves in hand-to-hand to resist an assault, nor can they drive in a predictable manner, particularly with the sirens on. So you see that RomneyCare, the concept of police being held accountable to the concept of a voluntary ward or social program or class like AA being compelled, a corruption of the courts meant to inform and order officers, the prosecutor and the defense attorney's panel before an arrest, a warrant, or a mandate through politicians to police, versus ObamaCare, the loony idea that a cop can actually be a nurse, like in DC Comics Gotham City, a mockery of the Third Reich, the concept of the book, where Batman is a shallow portrayal of Adolf Hitler. And us in Massachusetts, we don't know why the Freemasonic Temple, the French dominatrix society, misreported it on your newscast through those being given scholarships from Freemasons in journalism to report whatever you care as French Freemasons, claiming Scottish or Canadian or Australian rights. The whole mass of them, those lodges, actually bikers, violent motorcyclists, motorcycle clubs, and of course the myths as if denims, people who have families, are different than any other scumbag, an organ donor, a biker, or the Iron Pigs being badge police and firefighters, actually Interpol thrown off their badges for police brutality. pederasty after having served time. Particularly the myth that there's such a thing as a one percenter, actually a gang rank indicating you're a badged officer or informant to the police. So why would you say that RomneyCare, the payment of town to that individual placed in a medical or social program by force of police or courts, is the same as ObamaCare? It's the word care. Some people are just idiots. It's called the rich boy. And of course, accrued insurance debt to town to fraud you of your premiums. That's just a homosexual by child rearing a parent. They didn't want the kid. So you can thank me for keeping Massachusetts and the rest of the country separate on the nursing powers issue. I managed to cheat a few soldiers.